Hi everyone. Today we're going to do a quick comment and response section for our latest documentary, which received, I think it was a total of 4.1k comments in the end on the Love Don't Judge page on Facebook. So first we're just going to read through a couple of the more positive ones to start on a lighter note. Can you read through
I've got to read it.
that one?
All I see is two loving, caring, closely involved and present with their kids. No, it's not my choice of parenting, nor most of society in this country, but how many kids live in abusive, neglectful households will never see their parents as they are so deeply stuck in the system they have no time, or expect school to parent their children. They may not be perfect, but you can't argue those kids don't get love. A lot more than many of our kids in this country get. Cool.
Next one.
This type of parenting is intriguing. Thank you for showing this video. Different approach and it's cool. Natural herbs are better than chemical-based medicine. Agree. I watched the entire video and I'm intrigued. Great family, kids, healthy and educated. Awesome. Not my style of parenting, but I'm sure I wouldn't agree with a lot of people's parenting in this thread. They look healthy and happy. They said medicine is a last resort, not that it wasn't an option. A star or a child showing the most has a willingness to learn, so her future will be promising. Who knows? I wonder how this will affect them in their adult years. Now I have to Google adults who were raised this way as kids and their take on it. I think that's a pretty much good view on. That's more than enough for.
There was one more
One
short
more,
one.
really? Okay. Hey, whatever works for your family. I'm a teacher, and in our house we go to and love going to school. It works well for us. As long as the family raises well-adjusted and kind people, no judgment. Kind.
Love Don't Judge. There we go. Okay.
Don't judge, though. It's always a hard one, isn't it?
This one's is a bit of a middle of the road comment, I'd say. There are aspects of this that I really like, but this is a bit extreme for me. I think they'll be very emotionally well adjusted, but I worry they will lack social and practical skills and they'll struggle in the real world when they're adults. I also hope these parents are really well educated as far as their medicines go. There we go. So
well educated as far as their medicines go.
yeah, we hi Kai.
Hey, Kai.
So
2 seconds, Kai Chi.
we are pretty educated. Matt was trained as an integrative nutrition.
Well, I did the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, which obviously people will argue is not medicine based. I appreciate that, and I also did American sports medicine courses and so on and so forth, various different professional qualifications. But we took an interest. Kai, do you want to come down here, gorgeous?
I'll go and get her while you carry on.
Right, you carry on. But especially in today's day and age, you can open a book, you can use Google, you can research everything, and then you can try and test these things. I was raised on modern medicine. There's no two ways about it. Vaccines, cowpox medicine, that was a popular one. Aspirins, etc., and did that for many a year. And it wasn't until, to cut a long story short, that I stumbled upon, through the career that I was doing, which was in the health and fitness industry, algae, plant root extracts, herbs, etc. And you know, these things, we were told that they were going to essentially save your life, and in many respects they do. But you do have to read up on them, and you do have to approach them with an open mind. You do have to let go of your belief systems, if you like, or what you believe to be true, and seek another perspective, get another opinion. I myself suffered from chronic illness, arthritis, and that has kicked my butt for the best part of a decade. But what it kept doing was getting me to go back to the books, reading more, researching more, and trialing more. And now this has been the longest period of time that I've gone free from arthritis. So what we do then is we kind of work through this with the children when they have various different ailments. Is we go through the research, and then we see what's available to us where we are. And
okay, should we change? There's a few more bits in that comment. Lacking social and practical skills. So we don't lock them in a cage away from all human beings. They have lots of
We
social
live in a city,
opportunities.
so you're gonna.
Yeah,
We
and
live in a busy city, not just a city. Like this is a busy city, so
I'm not
there's
sure
people
what
who can come
practical
into.
skills. I mean, Matt
Well,
does.
practical skills. We do woodworking. We
Yeah.
do problem solving. We use our bodies. We climb trees. We go to the sea. We swim.
Grow food. We do cooking and baking. Lots of practical skills going on.
Cleaning, always.
Struggle in the real world. I'm not sure. I think we're living in the real world. I'm pretty sure this is the real world. Isn't it?
Unfortunately, although
Yeah.
fortunately as well, there's some beautiful moments as well.
So anyway, that's that one. Let's move on to the next one, which is they always end up being those obnoxious kids who irritate everyone in public areas because their parents won't teach them basic etiquette and social discipline. How will they feel 20 years from now when their kids can't read or write? So
They're already
sad.
reading and
I
writing.
feel so sad for them. Yeah, Yuli's already taught himself to read. Star is currently learning to write, and she sits down with me and we practice letters and words and names. So yeah, no problems on that there.
They're definitely not those obnoxious kids who irritate everybody.
In fact,
But
we get a lot of polite.
They're very, very polite. I mean,
Yeah, very sociable, friendly
when
kids.
Stacey Dooley said this, she was surprised. She thought that same thing, that's what she would stumble upon. She came and stayed for a couple of nights, and she found quite the opposite to be true. Because essentially it's a reflection of you. So if you're polite and respectful to other people, then your children notice you being polite and
Yeah,
respectful
monkey
to other
see,
children.
monkey do.
To other people, sorry, and it goes from there. What was the other thing?
Oh no, it's okay on that
Okay.
one. Next comment. I wonder how the parents can afford to live and maintain their lifestyle.
I wonder that one as well.
They must have to earn money in some way unless they are fortunate enough to have vast amounts of money. No.
I do a lot of growing, but it still doesn't grow off trees.
I'm not
So
a
you can
conventional
sell trees.
person and agree that the formal education system certainly doesn't work for many children. Learning to read and write is fundamental though. Okay, so I'll probably do another video on our lifestyle and how we make ends meet.
You have to be adaptable. You
Yeah.
have to be flexible, and you have to turn around and accept that there are many, many ways.
Yeah,
to
we're very
bear fruits.
creative
To bear fruit.
to earn money
It
and
is.
find ways around things and funding
And you
for
have
this
to
and
make
that.
some tough decisions as well, because you have to say no to a few people who are asking for certain things. No, joking. No, I'm not. I'm being serious. And you turn around and you have to accept where you're coming from. So there's no silver spoon in our scenario.
No
There's no trust
inheritances
funds,
or
no
disability
inheritances,
benefits and things like that.
No,
we
even
don't
though I've
rely.
got my chronic illness, I don't get sweet FA for that.
We
because
don't really get-
arthritis isn't considered to be one on the disabled list. Although she will tell you that when one
Oh,
of
it
those
does.
bouts
Knocks
kick in,
them out.
that's it. That's game over until the joints come back online. But not complaining. Instead, I learned and I grew and I did what I needed to do to get myself back to
Yeah.
a
I think
relatively
there's
good
something
state.
going
of
around
health.
somewhere that we're using benefits to build an off-grid house. It's a load of rubbish.
I wish.
Um,
I mean, I
we-
would use benefits to
yeah.
do that. By the way, I have no qualms with that. That
We
doesn't bother
use
me.
it to help with rent
Because
while we're building our careers,
have to
and we do want
understand- one
to
sec-
build a house. But
It's
yeah,
not that. It's people are mistaken about benefits. So, first of all, you have to understand the country or the system that you live in. You live in capitalism and globalization. It's the consumer funfair. And you have to understand that you live in a hierarchical system, which means you've got the guys at the top of the food chain who don't need the benefits. In fact, they've got possibly multiple houses, cars, etc., etc. Fine, good luck to them. But it also means that there's other people who don't have any of that. And that because there's so many rich or philanthropists, etc., 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 that means there has to be a quota for poor people. Hey, we fall into that. I'm not going to disagree or argue with that point. But that also means that the poor people need to be supported in an overly inflated
while they're
society.
working their way out of that
Well,
poverty
they just
trap.
shouldn't. But the thing is if you have that divide, you have to turn around and accept that some people are going to be turning around and taking benefits,
Yeah.
and they're not going to be getting up to those high CEO positions or YouTube content creator. That gets you a
yeah,
fair
I mean, we
wedge of
don't have
money if
any
you wanna go for that.
desire to have mansions and our own yachts and things. Just to get to a
Just
stage
a
of
big-
self-sustainability would be nice with our own bit of
We
land
do
one
a lot
day.
of stuff on
So,
the
yeah.
allotments and growing, and so we've learned that being outside and keeping things as simple as possible is the best way forward. I had to question things because of health. I was one of those people who went out and worked 6 days a week, 10 hours, whatever, earned this money, that money, etc., etc., etc.
But we'll go
And then I
into
burn
this
out.
on a different video. So let's
Okay,
move on to
get back to it, yeah.
to the next one. So she says she has no expectations of how the kids are going to want to live when they grow up. That sums it up for me. Okay, so it's our whole theory. Thanks, Yuli. In a minute. It's our whole theory of that our happiness depends on someone else's meeting the expectations we have to satisfy our own ego. So I don't even want my children to be happy. Do you know why? Because that's an unrealistic expectation. Everyone cannot be happy all the time.
No,
I
they're
want
gonna
them to
be
be
sad.
authentic. I want them to be themselves. I want them to be honest and
But in
true
order
to
to be
themselves.
authentic, they've got to be unauthentic at times as well. One informs the other. That's the reality. The
Um,
reality is you're going to go through the full spectrum of emotions.
I don't want to create a mini me, and I don't think Matt does either. We've accepted
No.
that our children
Tell
do
me I'm a
like
bear.
very different things to us, and they're not going to follow in our paths necessarily.
I was sure if I went down to the sea all the time and jumped in it that they would follow me in, and sometimes they do, but they don't. They choose their own path.
I think when you pin your own vision onto your children's life and their outcomes of their life, it's a very dangerous game. It's like a IOU payback relationship. I'm only going to love you if you satisfy my expectations of you. And so when I say I don't have any expectations of how they're going to live, no, I don't, because they might want to be an astronaut. Great. They might want to be a dustman. Great. It's as long
The
as they're
key is
living their truth for me.
Yeah, the key is you're living free from expectation, and you're just supporting them in whatever it is that they want to do, and then you're also encouraging them to be the best at whatever it is that they do, in the version of best for them, without too much pressure, without too much stress. They're too young for that. They're kids.
Yeah. So next comment. This is going to be disastrous. A social worker needs to be called and
The social
put-
worker's already been called.
hang on, put in immediate help the structure for these children, discipline and morals, boundaries
Discipline and morals.
especially. So
love
yeah, we have
discipline and love boundaries.
hang
That's
on,
the interesting thing.
just a sec. You're right. We have had encounters with social workers because we've done a lot of things through the media in the past, and they are absolutely more than happy and satisfied with our children being happy and healthy, and that we are doing nothing wrong. So no, a social worker doesn't need to be called. They would probably just laugh at you, go, "Oh God, those guys again." No, leave us alone. Let's do our proper work. Structure. No, the children, just because they don't have a school structure, it doesn't mean they have structure. It means our structure is susceptible to change on a daily basis. You know, we have rhythms and rituals, not hardcore inflexible structures that can't be changed. So yes, they have structure and boundaries, because we don't have bedtimes and meal times and things like that. It doesn't mean we don't have boundaries. They're consensual boundaries with the children, and we cooperate with each other to get everyone's needs met. And yeah, discipline. They do have, discipline is guidance. Of course, they have guidance, but they don't have the type that uses fear to drum a behavioural change which isn't genuine. We have gentle, guided discipline where everybody respects and honours each other's needs and boundaries. Okay, so that's that one. Okay, very stupid. They are spoilt brats, and when they are out in the real world, that real world one again, they won't respect rules. They may get sick or others sick. They may get hurt. All children need rules. Okay, so yes,
Our
they
eldest.
do respect rules
Our
so much.
eldest. Our eldest, he's so on the rules. He loves rules.
Yeah, it really
And
does.
so that's what we mean is that just because you do something a certain way doesn't mean it's going to have.
They understand the context of a
outcome.
situation. In our home, we live a certain way. When we go to visit a relative, for example, they might have set rules in their house that we have to abide by because that's their environment. And when in Rome, do as the Romans do. And it's a really basic concept that our kids have understood and really respected from a young age. So yeah, the real world and all of that, and when they're in other people's environments, they do respect the confines of that environment. They may get sick or others sick. I think everybody gets others sick, but I presume you're referring to them not being vaccinated. So guess what? Vaccines shed too, and vaccinated people make other people sick. But when my children are sick, I know they're sick, and I tend to. Well, we tend to stay inside and not go and infect.
No one's immortal. Everyone gets sick, and sometimes as well you pass your bugs on, but that's only because the other person was susceptible to catching the bugs that you had to pass, or otherwise everyone would catch it.
They may get hurt. All children need rules. Of course, children are going to get hurt. I mean, if they didn't, they're not going to learn any resilience in life.
Pain is a teacher, whether you like it or not. It teaches you,
That's a
as long as you pay
interesting
attention
one.
to the lessons.
And then we got our big, I like to call them the Stacey Dooley bandwagon comments, because they're all about reading and writing. She hopes that right by the time she's 7 or 8, they are hurting these children by not giving an education. Don't go yet, Matt. I'm going on the next one. They at least need to teach them to read and write and do maths. Otherwise, they're going to be able to do. They're not going to be able to do anything in the real world.
People do like the real
Too
world,
much.
don't they?
Yeah, they always end up being. Oh no, I've had the obnoxious children one. We'll go skip that one. They. Yeah. Okay. So
Right, you better go
that's
and get Kai again for a
basically.
second, and I'll deal with.
You deal with reading and writing. I'm just going to start off by
Look.
saying, hang on, that children, yes, they need some guidance with writing, which they will ask for when they're ready, and it's easy enough to give. You don't need to be a qualified teacher, but they can absolutely teach themselves to read. And I'll pop some links in the description about that unusual phenomenon that no one seems to understand. Our oldest has already taught himself how to read and is doing quite well. So yeah, all good with that. Any other thing to say about the reading and writing?
No,
They'll do it when they
It's-
have a purpose, I think, is the most important thing, not because you've told them it's time to learn it.
it's not you're afraid.
We
You're afraid.
never
You've got to face-
retain anything that
No,
we've
you
not
got- you
asked
got-
to learn.
You've got to face your fear. You're afraid that they're going to turn out as A, B, C, and instead be curious and optimistic about them becoming whatever it is that they were born to become. You just got to be able to support them, and when a purpose arises, practice takes place. So, i.e., once an interest is born, and you turn around and you say, "This is how the interest lays out." Let's say you're going to go for a game, for example. I want to play that game. I don't know. Let's just call it football. Okay, well, there's certain rules of the game of football. Let's look at those rules. Okay, then they're going to want to learn it. But if I just go up to them and say, "You're going to learn football. You're going to learn how to kick a ball, how to pass it, how to do basic skills, so on and so forth." Some of them may
So
take
who,
part.
for you
but
or for me?
yeah, who am I playing for? You or for me?
Is that expectation one
Yeah.
again?
Whereas if they really want to learn, you'll be amazed. They all of a sudden become this porous sponge that just takes absolutely everything in. And then the speed at which they go from not reading to reading is
We know
unbelievable.
as adults
It's
that we learn a
unbelievable.
lot better as adults picking what we want to learn and researching it ourselves than we would ever have done in school or college, having it shoved down our throats without
Or the
consent.
necessity to learn. Like I said about recovering from arthritis, my necessity to learn about that has just been unbelievable. So the stuff that I've learned would just blow people's minds, but you've got to open your mind for your mind to be blown.
That's another one altogether for another video.
True.
But I've got one final one. I feel sorry for the kids. They have no friends. Boo-hoo. It's sad that they don't go to school. This is the most stupid video ever. Now I'm going to stop. I'm just going to let Ostara answer that one. Okay, so Stara, do you have friends?
Yes, and a lot of them.
Tell me about your friends.
Well, I don't really, most of them I'm best friends with. I've got a lot of best friends. Some people only have like 2 best friends or 3 best friends or 1 best friend. But nearly all of my friends are my best friends, so let's say.
And where do you see your friends?
Well, they all live in very different places, so
Where do you meet up with your friends?
I meet up with them mostly at the allotment group.
Mm-hmm.
Not all
And
of
any
them.
other groups?
Well, let me think.
No, ballet?
Ballet.
Gymnastics?
Yep, gymnastics.
Yeah. Do they come and play at your house?
Yeah.
Do you go and play at anybody else's houses?
Yeah, I did go and play. Hey at some of my friends' houses.
Mm-hmm.
But some of my friends, I've never been to their house.
Okay. So where do you play with them?
Well, I play with them in very different places. I play with them at, maybe sometimes we might meet up at the park, or maybe sometimes we might meet up at the allotment group, or maybe sometimes we might meet up at their house or my house.
And are all your friends homeschooled?
Not all of them.
Okay. Some go to school?
Some go to school. I'm pretty sure some go to school and some goes to homeschool.
Brilliant. Cool. Thank you.